Hello and welcome to the iRacing Le Mans series live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick and alongside me this evening is Sam Kumo. We're here at the Circuit of the Americas. Sam, a circuit that, safe to say, isn't everyone's biggest cup of tea, but it is quite a significant place in motorsport these days, and it is quite unique with its very mixtured blend of corners.
Hello, yeah, saying that it's not favorite of many drivers is putting it mildly. It's one of the really new style of tracks that personally I also don't like that much. Let's say if you compare it with another very long track like Spa, this doesn't really have the kind of natural flow that some of the older tracks would have. So for me, and I think for many of the other drivers as well, that's kind of the issue here.
Yes, and well, personally, whenever the Formula One is visited here, it always seems to be a great race. Particularly last year was absolutely superb, and there's been a few other classics. But to drive, not the best in the world. Don't stop that from you viewers from watching this race. It's still going to be entertaining, I'm sure. We've got about 27 cars, so a little bit low. We nearly got a full split of about 55 cars, but probably best that we've got a slightly smaller, means that we've got all the top half of the drivers from each of the classes out there. And of course, we are approaching the final few rounds of the championship as well. So we'll keep you up to date with the scores just in a moment when I remember to load them in. But the drivers currently in their qualifying session. They've got 30 seconds left for them to set a time. And Johan Haar, good to see him back out there. Interestingly, in an LMP1 car, though, not the LMP2 that he's usually in. And I guess maybe this is just preparation for next season, Sam. And he hasn't got a championship to fight in the P2, so maybe this is a sign of what he's going to be doing next year.
We'll see. I'm not sure. I haven't really seen what Johan's plans are for next season. I would imagine maybe they will just GT, but for me it seems like he has always been sticking to the LMP2. But who knows? Maybe even Audi this year, if he can find his way with the front wheel car.
I mean, I'm desperately hoping he will take parts in that. But we'll have to wait and see. Of course, a very good rallycross driver on iRacing is Johan Haar, and part of the Apex Racing team, of course. He is actually on pole position then, by 0.3 of a second ahead of Matt Farrow. Those two, forming the front row of the grid. Quite close behind them was Felix Schuster, a little bit of a lower rating for Schuster, but that was a really good qualifying for him. He starts up in third place. Stephen Kymans starts in fourth, with Justin Clayton rounding out these LMP1 drivers. Also Joseph Powell as well, starting in sixth place. And then in the HPDs, Alex Trainer continuing his fantastic run of form recently. Really has come on strong in the second half of this season. He's on pole position ahead of Tom Dillman. I assume that's not the real life driver, Tom Dillman. But there you go. Jonathan Dance starts in third place with Calvin Fordant in fourth. Then it's Jeremiah Morton, who's fighting for the championship, of course, in fifth. Antoine Kuzan in sixth. And Alessandro Tessitore starting just behind him. All those drivers set qualifying times. And then top of the GTE cars, and this is quite an upset, the 21st highest I-rated driver, Baku Shapur, who personally I haven't seen much of in the past. I haven't seen any of him in the fact. But he's gone and beaten the very high I-rated driver of Thomas Gibson in qualifying by a few hundredths of a second. Those two start on the front row with Johnny Guandi starts in third. Then it's Valtteri Alander, Alex Simonich, Hugo Prieto, Todor Dussel, Casper Tekor, Dennis Neidhardt, Christophe Bouquet, Nick Harwood, Sergei Smirnov, Saulo Souza, and Bibu Jiri Lamy. In 27th place overall, and then unfortunately didn't set a qualifying time was Manuel Meyer, who'll be starting right from the rear. But quite interesting that, Sam, I don't actually have his I-rating on my screen, unfortunately, but Baku Shapur there, really quite an upset for him to get pole position.
Yeah, we haven't seen him before, and I can confirm that his I-rating is 3605, and he is also B license driver, so considering that he just beat Thomas Gibson, who has the World Championship license at 8,300 iRating, that's a really solid job.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if he's been racing a lot of this week, it's understandable that he's a Class B, also a License B driver, because there are going to be a few off tracks here, and watch out for that as the race progresses. They've got 17 incidents for them to use, and they certainly don't want to use any more than that, otherwise they'll just get disqualified. So yeah, we're just rounding out these final few corners. Of course, the Turkey Turn 8, this circuit, one of the first kind of circuits which just takes bits of other circuits and puts them all together. And there has been a few other circuits as well being built like that, but this was certainly a pioneering piece of motorsports. And yeah, hopefully this will be a good 1 hour race coming up. On pole position there, it's Johan Half. Second place, Matt Farrow, who always seems to get to the front by the end of the races. It's Porsche versus Audi. And we are about to get underway here at Circuit of the Americas. Can Half get a strong start? Here he goes, puts his foot down, and he is away from the start, is the Frenchman. Half leading into turn one. It's a very wide turn one, always an opportunity for an overtake perhaps, but he stays in the lead in the HPD, sorry. Alex Trainer still leading the way. He's a little bit deep though into turn one, and Trainer's going to lose the lead straight away to Tom Dillman. Unfortunate for him. Jonathan Dance and Calvin Ford maintain their places in third and fourth, and round the outside there goes Thomas Gibson getting past Chappeur already, and Chappeur, who you kind of felt needed to hold on to the lead right at the start, he's already lost it to the BMW. Nice move there from Gibson at the very first opportunity.
Yeah, that was a really great view we had of the GTE class on the turn 1. And so far, I don't see any incident and everyone is still running. But it's really close in the LMP1s. And Mats Varro going past Johan Hart here on the long straight.
Yeah, he wants to get that lead straight away, does Farrow. Usually he's quite patient, quite happy to sit behind drivers, but maybe he was a little bit more intimidated by Johan Hart today and desperately wants to get track position and not allow Hart to potentially pull away out in the lead. But there he goes. Also, the Audi always has shorter pit stops. Remember, keep that in mind. About 5 seconds shorter Farrow's pit stop should be, and we've seen that many times this season actually be quite significant when all is said and done. So certainly if Farrow can stay with her, he's going to be the favourite perhaps when the pit stops come around the 45-minute mark. And so Dillman's got ahead of Trainer, of course, and Gibson got ahead of Chappeur. So some pretty significant changes, but there haven't been many changes so far in this race. Also, Neidhart got ahead of Decor, Harwood ahead of Bouquet. That's pretty much it down the field.
Yeah, so far still everyone kind of keeping together. Although, let's see, Thomas Gibson starting to pull away slightly in the GTEs. Chapur having small issues with the traction there on the exit of last corner. Might be coming under pressure from Johnny Quinty here. Let's hop on board and see what... does Quinty go on the inside? Yes, he does. Is there enough room? There is, but runs a little bit wide and might be coming under attack by Alander here.
Yeah, there goes Alander, and he's going to be able to move up a position. So disappointing there for Chappeur, and he's starting to fall down the order. That Porsche car, which hasn't been favoured by lots of drivers in recent weeks at least. And whilst it's delivered a fantastic qualifying time, just struggling a little bit in the race. But I'm sure he's going to be able to stay in the slipstream of the cars ahead. Of course, Aland has been very much a regular of this series, of this broadcast over the season. Great to see him back out there, and he does seem to have improved a little bit as the championship's gone on. Couple of just a Ferrari in the background there. Actually, I think it's Tudor Docell maybe running the Ferrari. There he is. And at least I've got a very yellow livery. I doubt that is what his livery is because I haven't got training paints on. But at least the one I'm seeing is very dashing.
No, the one we see is this very classic Gulf livery with the light blue and orange.
I mean, that's pretty nice as well. Cannot complain. I have just turned on training paint, so my eyes will be able to appreciate that in a couple of minutes. You can see how close these GTEs are. Of course, Gibson about 2 seconds now ahead of the rest of the field, and all of a sudden it's now Guiandi just holding up the rest, it seems. Struggling to break that draft. Do you know if the draft is particularly strong here, Sam? I know you haven't done too much racing this week, but in your past experiences, if you're a bit slower than the car ahead, can you just keep up by staying in the slipstream?
I mean, with these cars and GTE cars in general, the draft is pretty strong. I think maybe the Porsche, the Cup car, is exception there, where the draft makes hardly any difference. But yeah, we got plenty of straights here, so that should give a good chances for overtakes here.
Yeah, we certainly hope so. Of course, we will be broadcasting a Porsche 911 race tomorrow, along with the GT3 cars as well, on Sunday in the Apex Racing League British GT Championship. So certainly do check that out. For now, of course, we're concentrating on these GTEs, and yeah, they are absolutely line astern currently. Neidhart just a little bit detached from these guys right at the back of the pack, but that's pretty much it. In the P1s, then, we should probably go back to them. Matt Farah still leading the way by 1.6 seconds, so he's just edging that out lap by lap. And I doubt Hart has got too much left, but of course, just a slowdown around here, or clipping a curb a little bit too hard, and that can really damage these LMP1 cars ever so brittle. And you can see on the inside of that turn one, big curb, and of course, just clipping that will cause you quite a lot of damage for the rest of the race. We've got Schuster staying relatively near these guys. He's a further 3 seconds back, with Stephen Cummins in 4th, and Justin Clayton and Joseph Powell having a decent battle for 5th and 6th places. But then, of course, in the P2 lead, Dillman leading the way, half a second ahead of Trainer, and then Danson Ford onto having quite a nice battle just behind as well.
Yeah, just wondering, looking at the gaps in the LMP1, perhaps this section here is difficult with the high downforce prototypes, because you have to really be able to follow, but you also lose all of the downforce if you try to get too close. So I don't know how easy it is to follow in those cars. It doesn't seem to be a huge issue with the GTEs, and I don't expect it to be.
Also difficult to kind of pick your turning in zone as well, because if you just clip one of them, like I was talking about earlier, it really is very costly. It's just threading the eye of the needle, and in real life, that looks absolutely spectacular. And on the sim as well, it looks spectacular with the drivers going from left to right, left to right. Unfortunately, in the sim, it is incredibly painful to have to deal with that. Hopefully, iRacing will address those curves in the future, make them a little bit more forgiving, hopefully. But Alex Trainer really knocking on the door at the moment on Tom Dillman. And through this part of the circuit, again, could the turbulent air be making a little bit of an effect? These contrary lines that you can take around this third sector. And then, of course, through this long Turkey turn 8 style corner, once again, that turbulent air just causing the HBD to understeer ever so slightly.
It's also very awkward with the corner angles here. It feels like the corners just are too tight for the car, and you cannot really afford to clip too much of these curves. And hopefully the new damage model sort of fix that issue with the curves that we have in the cars, with these high downforce cars. And hopefully those... oh, that is very close there, side by side. Alex Trainer, is he able to keep the nose in? Just not close enough.
Really went for it there, Trainer. He lost the lead on the opening corner. At that very corner, struggled to get the power down on that time. This time, again, just struggling on the exit. But he's certainly knocking on the door, and there was a couple of opportunities maybe for him to make the move on that last lap, and still through this difficult to follow part of the circuit, staying very close. Jonathan Dance now getting involved as well. Calvin Fordont as well. Did get the championship standings up in this HPD because it's always a fascinating championship in the HPDs, and we thoroughly enjoy having these guys out here because it's got quite a loyal following that does this HPD car, so we can kind of see the same guys week after week. Jeremiah Morton currently leading the way, as actually we're going about to see some side by side for first and second, also nearly for third and fourth as well. With Trainer having to desperately defend. Oh, sorry, Trainer trying to get past, but having to defend into almost every single corner is Dillman. Saying right to the inside, but Trainer just cannot find any which way. And look at third and fourth now, right on the tail of these drivers, and they're just inviting those guys up, seemingly. And Jonathan Dance will happily close in. As now running wide is Alex Trainer, and he's gone from attack to defense very quickly.
Yeah, just so quickly Jonathan Dance and Ferdinand were able to close into this top 2 battle. Now it's really... Is that really also Jeremiah Morton in there? And as Ferdinand goes for the move on Jonathan Dance, not quite close enough to pull it off, but still able to hang in there.
It's terrific to see this five-way battle currently, and a few of these drivers are in with a chance of the championship as well. Jeremiah Morton leads at the moment with 1,411 points, and then it's Calvin Fordont in second place. Then it's Alex Trainer, but he's got a week less counted, so he's effectively in the lead, I believe. And then Johan Hart is in fourth, Matthew Stagg is in fifth, but certainly Morton, Fordont and Trainer, all of which have a chance at the championship still. So this really could decide that, because this is usually the highest strength of field race this series has.
Yeah, just so a good glance there in the battle between Paul and Clayton. It seemed like Paul had just a small off-track incident. Oh, and that is big dive there from Ferdinand.
He waits for his rival to get back going. And waiting a long time there is Fordont, so really has changed the complexion of that. Here we are, going into the turn 10 hairpin, I believe this is. And, oh, well, I don't think he had any intention whatsoever of getting anywhere near the driver of Alex Trainer there. But completely just got unsighted and straight into the rear. And Fordont, a couple of the championship rivals there in trouble. And it means that Jeremiah Morton, who has been struggling in recent weeks, takes the lead of those three drivers, at least third place now in the race overall.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective and just from the onboard, it looks like he went for a move and just completely missed his braking point. I would expect that maybe he was normally using the brake markers or something like that on the right side, and then when he went to the move, he just couldn't see it. As we have something action happening here on the GTE class as well.
Yes, Souza versus Girolami. Apologies, Souza and Smirnov. Right, holding on to that place. The LMP1's now coming through these guys. I think... No, sorry, that's just... well, the LMP1s are quite spread out, so we're not going to see the usual kind of influx of LMP1s coming across the GTs, because we are quite low on numbers in the LMP1s. But that was Kimmins then going past, and Powell and Clayton will be going past relatively soon as well.
Yeah, let's just see if we can get something here.
I mean, this is the worst situation to be in, because he might be able to get past these GTEs. He's got to do it, otherwise he's going to lose 3 or 4 seconds, and he can only get one of them. And that just loses you so much time as the prototype.
Yeah, this is definitely the worst place to catch up with this traffic, and he still has plenty more to go. There's one, and can he get the Porsche before the braking zone? Sorry, that was BMW. No, and runs wide instead.
Yes. I mean, he actually lost time to the Ferrari behind, but puts a bit of energy down. 1,000 brake horsepower, of course, in those LMP1s with the 400 horsepower from the front wheels when they deploy the energy recovery system. And you can see how how much that helps down that straight. Not a significantly bigger engine, I believe, in these LMP1s, but they do go very quick down the straights due to the sophisticated technology. Of course, hopefully in iRacing soon we'll have the hypercars. I say soon, if it ever even goes ahead. Still a bit of doubts about that, but hopefully within 5 years or so we'll have that.
Oh,
As Alex Trainer is out of the race, he had already encountered issues, and he's had a high-speed incident there because he's a long way off the circuit.
and I think that might be on a curb. Let's see. Oh, yeah. That is definitely terminal damage.
Yes. So, Alex Trainer, you were saying, has had so much momentum in this series in recent weeks, has undoubtedly been the best driver in recent weeks in this series, was looking very strong for the title, perhaps. I don't think he's going to win the title anymore. Do you think that was deliberate, Sam? It's, I think he may have been a little bit fed up.
Yeah, hard to say, because even if you just overshoot your corner, you can just clip the curbs, and then you just shoot off, really. But then once he was off the track, there was really nothing he could do. I mean, his race took off, but just in the wrong way.
Yes. Smirnov then, right on the tail of Sousa still. These two have been locked together for quite a few laps already. And there are a decent amount of overtaking spots because you've got so many hairpins, I guess 3 hairpins after long straights. And this is one of them coming up, turn 10. One of the longest straights, I believe, in the F1 calendar, this. Let's say it's not long enough for the BMW to draw alongside, maybe saving a little bit of fuel, but he seems pretty desperate to get the move done, does Smirnov. It's to the inside once again, of course, it's just a matter of catching the other driver unawares in this place, but certainly too wise for that was Sauber.
I was wondering about the comment about 100 horsepower on the LMP1s on the front wheels. Is that more than what they have on the Jetta? Because if that is basically one Jetta on the front wheels of these cars.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't a Jetta only have... I mean, surely that can't have more than 200 brake horsepower in a Jetta, can it?
No, I don't think so, because it's diesel and it's basically a standard car, really.
I mean, I saw your proposal the other day of a Audi Quattro series with the Jetta, the Audi R18, and the GT3, and what was the other one?
No, it was not Jetta. Jetta is Volkswagen. So it's
Audi,
sorry. And Audi is LMP1, Audi GT3, Audi TCR, and Audi 90. So 4 Audis, Audi Quattro series. And I would definitely drive the Audi 90.
The Audi 90, okay.
Yeah.
Is there any European splits that you can enter at the moment, or is it very much just North American?
I think the Audi... basically it's a Camel GT series, and it only lasts maybe 1 or 2 splits per week. So it's the kind of same issue as with the Lotus 79 series. So unless you can make the 1 split, then there's really hardly any point in racing it.
I don't know if you recall, Sam, but I remember when there was probably the most overhyped... I mean, it's good context, and I realise that iRacing have done a very good job with those Camel GT cars, but when there was a surprise put right at the bottom of the patch notes, or not the patch notes, but the feature notes for a certain build. And people are debating, is this going to be new F1 car? Is it going to be rain? Is it going to be a new dash model, new tyre model? I think most people were a bit disappointed when we saw, but I mean that just shows never get your hopes up too high, and people do that a lot, and that's on the iRacing forums.
I mean, the Camel GT cars, they are fun to drive, but they are kind of difficult to race, really. And I don't have H-pattern shifter right now, so that would kind of make it much less fun. Plus, I'm terrible
Yes.
at heel and toe, so it kind of everything goes against me. So here there, so it's. But I mean, we've had all kinds of patch notes in the past. Like I think one of the highlights in I don't remember when it was, a few years back. In the patch note, this was the birds. You see birds on the racetrack, on the sky. I mean, that was in a special feature.
I mean, we've got the insects model as well coming up. I mean,
yeah,
the jokes on iRacing are abundant, safe to say.
I think one thing that I really missed is the kind of crazy week 13 series. I just hope there was a bit more. Oh, and that is Sapur off the track.
Yes, but he has got this move done seemingly on Alando. He got past him on lap 2. It looked like Shapur was really struggling. The pole sitter back then, but he's been able to retaliate, and the car number 21 back up into the podium places. So, very nice job from him.
Oh, and we have issue for Kusa. I think he might have just went off the track and lose position to Ferdinand, who is now coming back. But I think Kusan is close enough to fight back as well.
Fraudon ought to be able to pull away at this point. The reason why he's so far behind was due to that contact with Alex Trainer earlier on, who I've seen a couple of messages on the chat from Trainer on the iRacing chat. He's not best pleased, understandably so. I mean, I think Calvin felt pretty bad about it, hence why he waited for Alex to get back underway. Could be a significant change in the championship there. Dance then having to defend from Morton. Dillman is 4.5 seconds ahead. I do assume that's not Tom Dillman, the Formula E driver, the GP2 driver as well for Russian time, I believe it was.
He's French, I'm not sure.
I mean, that would add up. We have had someone call themselves Jason Plato though before on iRacing, and believe it or not, it wasn't Jason Plato. I mean, I don't think there was any doubt there. No offense to Jason, but I think he's a little bit beyond the age of maybe starting sim racing at this point. But I mean, hopefully, I mean, live life in mystery. We can hope.
I mean, it's never too late. I think there was just some forum topic of someone, was it turning 72 or 71? On the general board. Yeah.
I mean, the reason why I said that was because a lot of these older racing drivers are very grumpy about sim racing. Oh, you know, it's not proper racing, and you couldn't possibly recreate it. Whereas the younger drivers are much more accepting of it still, seemingly. Of course, Carlos Sainz with an iRacing profile now. I don't think he's done too many races. And also Alex Albon, the Red Bull driver. Of course, we could delve into that, of course, for an hour. But he's also got an iRacing account now. So Lando Norris, you know, thanks to him, got a few more Formula 1 drivers on board.
Yeah, I mean, just think about like the F1 drivers are streaming iRacing on their Twitch accounts. So, I mean, imagine that in the like 90s that have happened.
Yeah. No, it is pretty incredible where it could go in the future. Smirnov then, oh well, he's still going out battle, isn't he? And I assume this is still with Sousa, and yes it is. And Sousa, that Ferrari is quick down the straights, that is its best characteristic, and Smirnov is becoming fully aware of that. Well, he spent probably the last 10 laps hounding that rear wing, but seemingly has not yet got his car fully ahead. They are 9 seconds behind the next driver of Nick Harwood. This is pretty much the closest battle going on. Bouquet, he's also does a lot of these races, staying in contact about 1 second behind and just praying that they fight a little bit more so he can stay up with them for a bit longer.
Yeah, it looks like Smirnov is able to just really close in the corners and twist section, but like instantly here, because Isuzu are pulling away slightly. I mean, that's even in the draft, and Smirnov is not able to close in.
Yeah, maybe also different. Oh no! Well,
Oh,
that's it. Uh, he's through now. It's Smirnov, and there's Sousa. I don't think he's hit the wall, fortunately. But that's a big setback for him. Needs to make sure that he gets back onto the circuits decently. I mean, that's the advantage of a bit of runoff area. But the HPD just tagging the rear of him here. It wasn't quite clear the HPD's intentions then. Just misjudged that one. It was an ambitious move to go for it in the first place, but the execution was not done very well. And poor Caesar, because that was a nice pass actually, and he was defending very well.
yeah, it's a shame that it just ended right there. Also, we have Jonathan Dance making the first move coming into the pits. And this is really early, so is he in to repair some damage, perhaps? Because we are only 25 minutes into the race.
He seems to have been one of the few HBDs who hasn't got caught up in an incident so far. He was running in second place, I believe, behind Tom Dillman, fighting with Jeremiah Morton. Moves up to second place temporarily. I mean, if Morton could win this race, I mean, I think even by Morton's own standards, I mean, he won Daytona earlier on in the season by about 20 seconds, and since then, I'm not sure if he's won a race and hasn't been most confident about his pace, I believe. It would be fantastic to see him back on the top step of the podium, especially considering that in qualifying, I believe he only qualified in 6th place.
So let's see
Just
where
keeping his
is
nose
he
clean there.
actually. Yeah, so he's 6.5 seconds behind Dillman, and what's Dillman's pace? Last lap 55.0 and for Morton 59.8. And even the pace laps, Dillman is about 4 tenths faster. So we'll see. Maybe Morton just haven't been have the clear air. But
I
that
think he has
is
been fighting with Dance, hasn't he? So
yeah,
maybe that was
yeah, I
why
think so
Dance
too.
came in. Maybe also to avoid the traffic, although the GT, as I say, spread out, it's pretty much impossible to avoid all that traffic. But it could turn out to be a strategic masterstroke when these two pit in the next 10 minutes or so, and he comes out ahead. So we've got plenty of time to go in this race, over half the event to go. I've already seen quite a bit of action in this P2 category, but certainly Tom Dillman on this lap, is he any faster than Morton? Morton improves significantly on that lap. It's still only, he was still 4 tenths of a second slower that time round. Fordon actually closing in on the pair then with the fastest lap of anyone that time round with a 54.26. Now that he's got some clear air after passing Kuzan, he might have a chance at second place after all.
It also looks like maybe the track is getting faster because I am seeing some lap times getting down. Let's see, what do we get? It's still 42 degrees on the track temperature, so and a midday. So I wouldn't think it's getting cooler, so maybe it's just some cloud cover coming in for momentarily. But it is going to be slippery out there.
Yes, because the in-sim date around the correct date in real life is
Dozel.
Docel goes down the inside, and I finally see that Golf livery, and it is very nice, and he'll be thinking the same thing because he's just gained a place. Hugo Prater won't wanting to be seeing that livery for too much longer. But we've seen the Ferrari so far has been a very good car to defend in due to its pace down the straights, and I think Dave Sol will be preying on that now. He's 2.5 seconds behind Simonich as well, so that's quite possible for him. These guys relatively even on pace, I believe.
Yeah, behind it, that's just a lot of traffic there. All getting mixed up, and this might even allow Kasper Kort to have a go here. Neidhart not that happy at those LMP2s and LMP1s.
Neidhart did get past Decor, I believe, on maybe lap 3 of this race, but has failed to pull away ever since then. And Decor maybe using the traffic to his advantage. He looks to the inside into turn 1. Just had to apply a little bit more brake though, and stays behind. Now the HPD is going to get stuck behind these guys undoubtedly. Might get Decor, but he's not going to get the next driver ahead until a couple of corners later. And these GTEs, of course, pretty handy around the corners as well, so it's not easy to lap these guys.
Yeah, this section is it's not that narrow. Oh, we have moved in the. No, it was Anthony Kusan. What happened to Kusan? He is gone. Let's see. I see he went off the track, and that looks like some technical issues, perhaps, because he is out. He just ran wide on the turn 1. Oh, that's a lot of damage.
Yes, that is half the car gone. So I don't think we're going to see any more of him in this race. And so we've lost a couple of drivers then in the HPD category as Johan Hart comes into the pits. He had dropped 10 seconds to Matt Barry after taking that pole position. Barry has been in absolute domination ever since then. Matt Barry pitted, oh sorry, hasn't pitted yet, has he? This lap's 18 of the race now. But he should be well clear when he does decide. And of course, if he needs any more encouragement, he's also got that extra 5 seconds he'll probably gain in the pit stops due to that fantastic fuel conservation by the Audi. So things looking good for car number 2 at the moment.
Also, we got confirmation from Kusan that his game crashed. Screen went black on the braking zone and it closed.
Means that Tessitore now is up into 4th place in that category. Admittedly, that probably won't stay because Jonathan Dance has already come into the pits. Will quite inevitably get ahead of him. But so credit to Tessitore there for keeping the car out on circuits. Had too many issues so far and picking up the pieces from other drivers' issues.
But this battle still goes on. It needs hardcore. And actually that is also hardwood closing in.
Yeah, Harwood on that last lap pretty much matched those two guys, but certainly if they start fighting a little bit more, he's going to be involved. And maybe could save a little bit of fuel. Not quite sure. I'm pretty sure these GTs all have very similar fuel kind of consumption. All got very similar sized fuel tanks as well. So it shouldn't be too much of a factor. He is just gradually getting a little bit closer to these two drivers. Just the battle for a P8 in this race.
Yeah, I think right now we're entering the phase in the race where everyone's kind of just dialing it down, starting to do the fuel math, figuring out how much do they need to fuel save for one extra lap or not, and just wait and see how it plays out after the pit stops.
Must say, when you said earlier on, Sam, about these cameras not being very good, I wasn't totally sure on that. I think you're probably right, to be honest. I am trying to go through the camera. So if anyone on the chat has any recommendations, are there any cameras on the iRacing default cameras that you dislike? Let me know, and we can adjust that for future broadcasts. But a few of these are a little bit too high up for my liking, a little bit too zoomed in as well. Quite difficult to follow the action. So any cameras that you hate? I mean, for me, that is a topic I could talk about for hours again. But no, certainly we'll try to address that in future broadcasts.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is so... That is scored way off. And
Coming
is he going to
together
lose the
seemingly.
place to Simnov? Not quite. But Hardwood is able to get by, and is he also able to get by Neidhart?
I think it was Neidhart who made contact with
Ah, you might be right.
Decor before. Harwood trying to go to the inside.
Oh,
Good
sorry.
driving the BMW on the outside. But yeah, this is how it happened then. So Decor, he has been following for a while. Has he just missed his braking point? Yes, he has. And credit to him, he was desperate to slow down, hence why he locked his brakes, putting him into a spin. And a little bit of nose damage as well on that car. Harwood actually got ahead of Decor, so I thought Decor was going to win out of that battle. Sorry, apologies. Neidhart stayed ahead of Harwood. Apologies, I was getting a bit confused there. So Neidhart, despite getting a little bit hits up the rear there, staying in his position.
And you know what? We have 0 retirements in the GTE class. So the LMP1s and LMP2s that were not big grids to begin with are getting smaller and smaller. We are down to 5 running LMP1s and 5 running LMP2s.
Yes, more and more GTE dominance. And I assume that entire second split as well was just GTEs. So, safe to say what the most popular car in this championship is. We have seen some, like personally, of course, my favourite series in this is the P2, just because we can see the same drivers pretty much over and over again. It does feel like a proper championship, whereas not all the top GT drivers do this time split. But in the GT Championship, actually, I'm just loading it up currently. At the moment, it is Florian Dienard, who we've seen quite a bit actually this season, leading the way. He's just ahead of Sasha Engelhardt. It's Hugo Prater, who's out there today, Andreas Jochimsen, and Jorge Blasco Val. So all those drivers, to be fair, we have seen a little bit of this season, but not every week. But Prater trying to add some points to that tally, but not scoring enough at the moment to really reduce the championship lead.
Just on board here with Hardwood. Harwood. Going through this final section here, it's just really awkward, these corners. Especially the closing radius ones. You think you're through, but you just need to lift off again from the throttle.
And this last corner as well, off camber, little bit of elevation, tricky exit as well. Yeah, not the most fun corner in the world. And of course, around this second, in real life, they have had to add a few extra curbs on the exit there just to prevent drivers from going off. But anyone who's seen the IndyCar racing, that penultimate corner, I mean, it's a totally different corner. They go all the way out to the extra paved area. But of course, here you gotta very much keep it within the white line still.
So what's your like favorite corner? Oh, I'll ask that later. What happened there?
I'm not sure. Was that? It seemed like his steering just momentarily stopped.
No, that's Desidore coming through.
Ah.
So Desidore was trying to overtake the traffic and just had a contact, and that is severe damage on his car then. And now Dance is able to actually get the pass.
I was really complimenting him on how clean he was keeping it, but maybe just a little bit of incident, yeah, there with the Porsche car. hopefully he'll be able to carry on. But of course, just a little bit of steering damage, just a little bit of wheel damage, and that can be enough to meatball you, and you're forced to stay in the pits for the rest of the race. Hopefully, we'll see if his steering is straight or not. This is one of the most tight and twisty parts of the circuit, but we should be able to find out in a few moments. Not too bad.
I think it's fine. Maybe just losing some top speed there.
Expect the rest of the HPDs in soon as there you go. Testori, second HPD into the pits after Dance pitted some 7 laps ago now. It really was a very early pit stop for Jonathan Dance, and that last lap time from him was quite slow in comparison to the drivers he was racing with previously, so not sure if that's going to turn out too well for him. Also got Morton versus Cordons in that class, 2 seconds between the two of them, after having some 5 seconds between the two of them earlier on in the race, so we'll keep an eye on that. Here's Gwindi then, really closing in on Gibson. That last lap, he was 0.8 of a second faster, and he took into the inside, and round goes Thomas Gibson, the driver who's been leading ever since turn 1. He's been caught, and now he's been tapped around as well at the turn 9 hairpin, and he's dropped down to 4th position now.
That was a bit forceful, I would say.
So
Yeah, I'm
Gibson,
sure actually
he
what
was
happened.
dominating, wasn't he?
Yeah,
But,
I'm sure what happened because his pace is suddenly gone. His previous lap time was 2 minute 2.4, which is almost a second slower than the usual pace.
yeah, that's over 2 seconds slower than his fastest lap of the race. Doubt it was just traffic, maybe picking up a little bit of damage earlier on, but whichever way it is for Thomas Gibson, his chances of this race victory looking quite unlikely. And Chaper, who I think we were writing off after the first lap or so, dropping from first place to 4th, all of a sudden he's back up into 2nd, and he's not far away from the lead by any means, 1 second off the lead. Pit stops occurring in the HPD class now. So Jeremiah Morton came into the pits, and his pit stop 1 second faster than Calvin Fraudant. So they stay in 2nd and 3rd place. Hasn't worked out one bit for Jonathan Dance. He was running in 3rd place right on the tail of Jeremiah Morton before. He is now down to 4th place and about 8 seconds off Morton. So really is questionable why he pitted so early on. And maybe it was a pit for repairs, like you were saying earlier on, Sam.
Yeah, it could have been like a small bump on the front corners with the curb. And if it costs you 1 second per lap, then you might as well get it fixed. Because I don't think like small damage like that should only be a few seconds. So if you do 20 laps in a race, you might as well, and then also get some fuel.
Of course,
Also,
when
Matt
the
Farrow
lead
from the lead.
Yes. Johan Hart. Wait, it feels like a while ago to say that Johan Hart pitted. He pitted on lap 17, so 8 laps ago. And he's got a 1 minute lead, does Matt Farrow currently. So he's got some time to spare for this pit stop. So even at a speeding penalty, he should be okay. There he is, changing the tyres as well, of course, done at the same time in this LMP1 car. He didn't take pole position, of course. He's been utterly dominant since then, though. And out of the pits he comes, and he's about a third of a lap ahead of Johan Hart, which should mean he's about 40 seconds ahead. It's absolute, yeah, clinical this from Matt Farrow, and not giving the Apex Racing team driver a sniff of the race victory.
Yeah, that was a 9 second pit stop for Farrow, and they do not take tires. I mean, there's no need to take tires on any of the classes.
You seem to be up on the jacks, though.
It might be just full fueling, but you just shouldn't take any tires with these cars or in this race length.
I mean, too fair, I thought Johnny Gwindi there was on the jacks when, obviously, in the GT, absolutely. You do not want to be taking tires. That would cost you an extra 25 seconds or so. So here is Gwindy. So he's had to pit early. And
Mm-hmm.
this could be very significant because he was under big pressure from Chaper, who takes the lead of the race for the first time since the run to the first corner. And a good in-lap here from Faku Chaper could be enough to leapfrog the former race leader.
Yeah, he's in an okay position. He does have Neidhart and Harwood in front of him, but I think they are close enough in the pace that they shouldn't be a major issue. Because it's already 43 minutes, 44 minutes in, and I think every GTE will be making the pit stops this time by.
Also, Alander still in the mix, perhaps. He has been dropping time to Chaper, but only 4 seconds behind, so a little bit of a sticky pit stop for someone. Alander might be able to get back into the top 2 positions again. But yeah, once again, full credit to Chappelle because I'm around 3.8k actually, and I can assure you I could not do what he is doing out there on the circuit. It's very impressive. Is anyone into the pits then? Chappelle stays out. So maybe that Porsche does have a good fuel tank. Alander stays out as well. They're now going pretty far, a little bit further than we usually see these guys go. And Gibson as well staying out. So how quick is Gibson's pace actually? 2 minute 1.8, so still a while off what he was doing earlier on.
Yeah, that's surprising. I was expecting much higher fuel consumption on this track. Because that's how it usually goes with the high-speed circuits like this. But let's... okay, try again. This time by they will come in.
I mean, if we say that enough, eventually we will be correct. But surely this time you would fully expect. So yeah, just a little bit of a rundown of the of all the classes, top 3 positions in each class. Matt Bow leading the way, like I said, by about 40 seconds, 36 seconds. So I was nearly right there. Ahead of Johan Harth and then Felix Schuster running in 3rd place. Joseph Powell, by the way, has just come into the pits. He's a bit of a distant 5th place, but I mean, not too many issues for him so far in this one. Tom Dillman leads the HPD class, and he's been just pulling away, really. Everyone in the HPD class has pitted already, of course. Jeremiah Morton running in 2nd place, but coming under significant pressure from Calvin Fordont. He has had issues in this race, perhaps could have even won this race if it weren't for a incident earlier on with another driver who was Axe Trainer, of course. Oh, as Morton spins round, and the championship leader in big trouble here. He gets back going, but that's 2nd place gone, and it was almost 3rd place gone as well to Jonathan Dance.
So what actually happened? Because that was... it looked like it was before the corner even. So was it just was under braking, or did he clip the curb? Yes, he did. Just got on the Astrolov, put down the power, and it started to slide and just got kind of a pendulum effect from there.
And of course, top of the... so, oh my god, they're kind of going. Ha! I always joke about, do they have fuel in their pockets? But, I mean, they've got an extra fuel tank, seemingly. I mean, this is incredible how long they're going. I swear, I mean, we've covered 10 weeks of this series so far this season. We've covered other seasons of this series as well. And, I mean, we still don't know how long these drivers are going to go for. Alex Simonich at least pitted to save some of our blushes. But some 6 drivers, I believe, still haven't pitted. Nick Harwood as well pitted. Is he ahead? Oh, sorry, Neidhart hasn't pitted anyway. I was about to say, is he ahead of Neidhart? But no, Neidhart hasn't pitted. Might be able to get the undercut on him. So Guindi on that last lap was 2/10 faster than Chaper. Guindi, of course, the previous race leader before his pit stop. Chopper, the temporary race leader. So it seems like Gwindy's doing enough at the moment, Sam, to hold on to that race lead. But he was only 2 seconds ahead before, so a really short pit stop for Chopper could be enough.
Yeah, that's gonna be one lap shorter, but I mean, you're still going to lose time on the entry. And let's just see if Shapur nice the entry. It's pretty tight
Yay,
corner
here we
here
go.
on the... Really hugging to the inside line. It's the marks. Trying to get a bit more speed by switching gears. I think he might also be really low on fuel at this point.
Everyone else has pitted, including Alander, Gibson, Docell, Needhart. I imagine Decor will be into the pits as well. Gwindy is coming across the start-finish line right now. There is Chopper, and you know what? Chopper might just have enough. Gwindy's got a lot more speed though as they head up the hill, and it's going to be Faku Chopper taking the lead of the race. At the very corner,
Wow.
he lost it in turn 1, lap 1, and he has managed to do the overcut on Gwindy. Let's compare the pit stop times. In fact, pretty much the same. Gwindy only losing 0.3 of a second, but he's managed to pretty much have a swing of about 4 seconds there. So incredibly impressive there from Chopper. Those outlaps must have been, or those in-laps must have been quite spectacular.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out where he actually gained that time. Because he is now 2.5 seconds ahead of Gwindy. So that was just massive. I mean, his pit lane time was only half a second faster, but we didn't quite see Gwindy's in-lap, so perhaps there was some traffic there that helped Shapur.
Yeah, could have been the case. But yeah, we did not expect that. We expected Gwindy to maintain about a 2-second lead. But now he's going to have to do the chasing. Chopper did, yeah, of course, like I said, did lose the lead earlier on. But it's been really good since then. Just got a few more laps to survive to take what would be a fantastic race victory for the car number 21. Of course, the 21st highest I-rated driver here, and a few thousand I-rating lower than many of his rivals. Also in those pit stops, I think Docell may have got ahead of Simonic. Not 100% sure on that one, but Docell had a very short pit stop, about 2 seconds shorter than everyone else out on circuit. Kyoto stayed ahead of Girolami. Neidhart stayed ahead of Harwood as well. So pretty much the only change was between Chopper and Gwindy, and also Docell getting ahead of Simon.
So now this is basically the running order here, and I don't think we have any battle packs going on. Oh, we do have this Susa versus Phuket. So this for the 13th place and...
Oh dear.
Ha!
I mean, that's commentator cursing a battle thing, which I don't think has ever been done before.
So was it just clipping the curb? Yes. Very slightly. I don't think he is going to lose any positions from there, so he should be able to just continue and get the points.
Yes, that's just the tyres wearing down at this later stage in the race. Of course, very hot track temperature. These real-life track conditions do kind of reflect real life. It's the same dates in the sim as it is in real life. And of course, in real life, I know the Formula 1 has had to be changed from the summer to quite late autumn just to cope with these Texas heats as extremely hot as you can imagine. And so the 42 degrees track temperature, even 43 track temperature is quite realistic. 18 degrees air temperature though. I think that's rather on the cooler side. I think most Texans would be quite pleased with that when on the 24th of April, 24th of August, as we are in Sim.
Yeah, also, did you notice the date?
Yes.
What day is it today?
Well, okay, I meant the same date as this week. Is what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
But
wondering because it's tomorrow, so...
I mean, 23rd, is it? Right, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know what the date was, so...
Yeah, but I think it's like, if you saw the video about the weather, it looks like they are simulating the whole race week, really. And the pre-race conditions and the weather conditions, and just generating the conditions based on that, so I guess that's why the date is what it is.
I'm now searching Austin weather. See what it's like in real life. 36 degrees. Oh, it is quite warm. The coolest it's got, which is at 4 in the morning, is 26. I mean, or 25, sorry. I mean, poor guys. And it's been getting as hot as 36 air temperature, which is nearly 100 degrees Fahrenheit, of course. So,
Okay, so when it would be 18 degrees, it would be like sweaters and ski jackets in the Texas, I guess.
yes. Yeah. I mean, they get some pretty big storms here as well, so that's probably as cool as it gets, I imagine. But yeah, I mean, it's understandable that we don't have F1 races at this time in the season, despite the fact that it would be, in terms of transport, much more convenient to have it around the Montreal weekend, of course, as Johan Hart just making a move there. So a few people have wanted it in the summer, but I don't think that would necessarily be the wisest decision. I mean, if we had 36 degrees air temperature, I hasten to look at the track temperature. It'd probably be in the 60s, which with the iRacing time model would not be very much fun.
I mean, can you imagine standing in that tall tower there in the 42 degrees and you cannot leave it? Like, you know, the tall spectator tower that I have on this track.
I mean, yeah, not good whatsoever. I mean, to be fair, if they wanted to replicate rain, 60-degree track temperature would be pretty good. But no, certainly a lot of credit out to you Texans, if there are any of you. We are reaching the final couple of minutes though of this race. This is not going to be the last lap of the race, I believe. We'll have one more. Will it?
One or two. Let's see, Farrow is coming through the final corner here. Yeah, I think it will be one more after this one. So this won't be the last. But
So maybe that could force one extra lap for these drivers. Could be a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, with the long tracks like this, it is much more up in the air. Like, you can really get caught up by how many laps you complete. With the shorter tracks, it's not that much of an issue. It tends to, like, more laps you complete, it kind of averages out. But I'm guessing Johan Hart would like maybe 10 more laps, because that is 40-second gap, and I don't think it's gonna be possible for him to close in.
No, he's even on that last lap, still 0.6 of a second slower than the race leader. So looking very comfortable for him at the moment. Felix Schuster, of course, in third place. Stephen Keemans in fourth. Still on the lead lap. Joseph Powell, not be said the same about him. But Will Powell, so he's done a decent job. Hasn't got caught up in any GTE collisions as far as we've seen today. Of course, Dillman still leading the way in the HPDs. That looks all settled, to be honest, in the HPD field. No one within about 5 seconds of one another. Shapur is hanging on then. 3.5 seconds ahead of Johnny Guindy. And he's got to do this lap and another one.
Meaning when he crossed the line. And he's lapping around 1 minute 43s. So this is gonna get exciting, I think.
I mean, to be fair, even if Barrett did have some issue, he would probably still be able to come to the pits and be absolutely fine. But in those other classes, you're absolutely right, Sam. Could cause some problems. Fordon, to be fair, I mean, we haven't talked about Kevin Fordon too much in this race, but he's had quite a narrative, I think, with that incident earlier on, waiting for his rival to get back going again. But he's been absolutely fast and perhaps really could have won this race if it weren't for that incident. You think that lost him at least 10 seconds and having to make his way back through the order. And that last lap, he was 1.5 seconds faster than race leader Tom Dillman. Of course, a lot of these drivers also managing the incidents at this point in the race. You don't want to pick up 17, otherwise that's your day over. And with, to be fair, you haven't seen too many haven't seen too many 4X incidents, but still SOEs to accumulate the 1Xs. Dillman crossed the line again, and it's once again not a superb lap time, but he's doing everything he needs to do as he moves on to what should be his last lap.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's at least fuel saving, so possibly he has enough in the tank to just make it through.
So far, of course, is now on his last lap. In fact, if Dillman's fast enough, he might not get lapped again. He's got 6 seconds to Matt Farrow at the moment. I mean, to be fair, he may as well let the race leader, may as well let Farrow past. I mean, I don't think he'll be craving to do one extra lap. But if
Yeah, that's
he
true.
isn't if he isn't an extra lap down, that would be the race victory. But of course, then we'd have to do an extra lap until he reaches the checkered flag.
And where is Japur? He is quite far ahead of Faro. So I don't know if Faro will be... I don't think Faro will be able to lap Japur, so that is definitely one more for GTEs.
Yeah, at least some of the GTs up to Prieto, who's
And that is
in
Tillman right
second place.
ahead of Faro, so I would expect Tillman to let Faro by. Because I don't think he wants to do the one extra.
So is Farrow going to get him in time? Either way, it's going to be Matt Farrow. Didn't start on pole position. He's been absolutely dominant ever since he approaches the line, and he wins at Circuit of the Americas. Dillman did get lapped, so we can announce him as the winner in the HPD category. Very good job there from Tom Dillman. Got the lead early on, and whilst everything was going on behind him, he just kept nice and cool. Docell did have to pit. He had the shortest pit stop of anyone in the GTEs, and it's cost him horrendously. 1 lap underfueled, and he's had to come into the pits once again. Still Shapur then leading the way out of the GTEs. Docell came into the pits. Anyone else? Don't think so.
Yeah, we have cars a bit... yeah, they already finished, they got lapped.
Yes. Neidhart didn't... Oh, sorry. I was about to say Neidhart didn't pit. But he finished an extra lap down. So that was why. In the end, it wasn't too bad for Docell. So Docell, because he wasn't lapped, didn't actually lose many places. I think he only lost 1 place to Simonich, who was the position that he gained due to underfueling. And so actually, it's not worked out terribly for Docell whatsoever. And he'll still finish the race as well. He wouldn't have wanted to run out of fuel on that last lap. But here comes Baku Shapur. He took pole position in a rather big surprise. He dropped from 1st to 4th in just the first 1.25 laps of this race. Got back up to 3rd place, and when issues occurred to the drivers ahead, he's taken full advantage. Baku Shapur wins the GTE category here, Circuit of the Americas in the Le Mans series. And he beats Johnny Guandi by 5 seconds across the line. Alander rounding out the podium just ahead of Gibson.
Yeah, quite
Also,
unexpected grid on the GTE. Hmm?
Docell didn't finish.
Huh. Did
He must
he
have just
get...
given up. He didn't get laps. But I wonder if he just thought, well, I'm not going to lose any place, I'm not going to gain any places. I'm just going to stick in
So
the
this is him
pits.
leaving the pit lane. So what actually happens? Did he Did he just mistake the flag? That's interesting. Perhaps he just got disqualified on this final lap due to incidents. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
That's the only thing I can imagine, because he's only completed 30 laps according to our screen, whereas everyone else did 31. And if he towed back to the pits, then he would have been up to 31 laps. So yeah, he must have got disqualified on that last time. In fact, I'm saying all of this, I can look at how many incidents he got. Docell he only got 15 incidents. Very few drivers were disqualified. Clayton got disqualified with 18. And also Hearth was on 16 by the end, batting second place in the HB in the LMP ones, and also Casper Decor as well got 16. So a few drivers running close, but they were all very good when it came down to the checkered flag. So the results then from this Circuit of the Americas round of the iRacing Le Mans series. Matt Farrow wins out by 44 seconds over Johan Hart. Felix Schuster finished in third place, with Stephen Kimmins the only, one lap down in fourth. Joseph Powell's the other finisher in fifth. Justin Clayton, of course, got disqualified with 20 laps to go as well, so he must have been quite liberal with those incidents. He retired from the race, of course. In the HPDs, Tom Dillman wins out. Very good performance from him, about 5 seconds ahead of Calvin Fraudant in the end. Jeremiah Morton, that'll be good for his championship, finishing in third place. Jonathan Dance finished in fourth, with Alessandro Tessitore in fifth. The drivers who didn't finish in that class were Antoine Cousin and Alex Traynor. And then in the GTEs, Fakou Chapur wins out ahead of Johnny Guendi. Valtteri Alander rounding out the podium. Thomas Gibson, he was tapped around, not really any fault of his own. He will be quite frustrated with that, the car number one. Alex Simonich finishes in fifth. We're not quite sure what happened to Toto Docell on the last lap. He had to come in for a bit of fuel. It didn't cost him any places, though, because he was one less lap down than the drivers behind him. So he finishes in sixth place. Behind that was Hugo Prieto, Bibu Girolami, Dennis Neidhart, Nick Harwood, Casper Decor, Sergei Smirnov, Salo Souza, Christophe Bouquet, and Manuel Maya, manning up those GTE drivers. So sometimes we do have interviews with drivers. I'm not holding out a whole lot of hope for us to have an interview today. Maybe hoping that Jeremiah Morton would have a chat with us. But unfortunately, he hasn't joined us. Just looking to see where the next round of the championship is, which I believe will be the last round of the championship as well. Next up is Road Atlanta, Sam. And I mean, we've gone from one of these super modern, not liked American circuits to pretty much the total opposite in Road Atlanta.
Yeah, and it still surprises me that it's considered one of the most popular multi-class and endurance races at the Road Atlanta, because it's almost like a small club circuit, really. Especially if you compare it to something like Mid-Ohio. But I think we will see a good turnout there, I think. Especially if it's last week of the season, so we will have some new drivers there practicing for next season.
Yes, hope to see that. And yeah, I was just going to say, sorry for interrupting you there, Sam, but let's have iRacing Le Mans Series around Mid-Ohio. I mean, I'm up for that. I'm up for anything around Mid-Ohio. Fantastic circuit. So do that. I realise we don't have a whole lot of power up in the commentary booth, but I believe they have a poll, a seasonally poll on the iRacing Le Mans Series forum. So certainly do vote for Mid-Ohio if it's even considered. It certainly should be. So hopefully we'll see that. Of course, on Apex Racing TV coming up tomorrow, we've got the UOV8 Supercar Series in the evening. We've also got the Sim Racers Asia Series, that F3 Championship midday as well tomorrow. And on Sunday, we've got the Apex Racing League British GT Championship. That'll be on in the evening. And on Monday, we'll have the Mazda MX-5 Amateur Cup, BSR. Said all those words in the wrong order, but I think you get the message. Also, on the iRacing Esports Network, we'll be covering the World GT Championship as well. And of course, there's loads of other stuff on the Apex Racing TV channel and also on the iRacing Esports Network. Also, do check out on Wednesday night the Sim Racers World GT Championship Season 5. That will be on the iRacing Esports Network, but very pleased to have that on the iRacing Esports Network. And we're very excited to cover another series of that. And of course, next week, of course, we will be back at Road Atlanta for the last round, week 12 of the iRacing Le Mans series. But for now, from me and from Sam as well, we're going to say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.